Okay, today we're going to go ahead and get into the last section of Chapter 9. All right, in this section we'll be focusing on area of composite figures. All right, so here's the deal. A composite figure is made up of multiple shapes. So before in this chapter we found the area of individual shapes. For example, the area of a triangle, the area of a rectangle, the area of a circle. All right, we found all those individually. Today we're going to look at composite figures, is where they're going to have multiple. All right, so they're going to have more than one figure in it. What we're going to do is we're going to find the area of each part. All right, so we'll find the area of each part of the figure. So in order to find the total area of this, we're going to have to go back and add part plus part, and sometimes multiple parts. So let's say it's a rectangle and a triangle on top of each other. We'll find the area of the rectangle, we'll find the area of the triangle, and then we'll add it together. All right, let's go ahead and go through some examples right now. Here we go, example number 1. All right, when you look at example number 1, we can go ahead and break this into a couple of different figures. We could go ahead and take area of half a circle plus area of the trapezoid if we wanted to in this picture. All right, so you can technically break this into trapezoid and that, or we can technically break it into a triangle, a rectangle, and a circle. All right, if we do that, I'm going to go ahead and look at it as two shapes. All right, so when I go through this, I see a half circle up top, half a circle, and then my other picture is a trapezoid. All right, so I can find the area of the circle up top. Remember, in that picture, area formula on our formula sheet says pi r squared for a circle. All right, we need to know the radius. If that whole thing was 20, then in this question, r is 10. So I'm going to do pi times 10 squared. But here's the problem. That's half a circle. So I'm going to have to take my area of a circle and divide it by 2. All right, when I do that, I get 157.1. Now, I'm going to find the area of my trapezoid second. My area of my trapezoid says B1 plus B2 times height divided by 2. So if I'm going to find that, I'm going to take the height, 14, times the base 1, 20, plus base 2, 32, and that's all divided by 2. All right, if we take 20 plus 32 and then multiply it times 14 and then divide by 2, it tells us an area of 364. Now, to find the area of this whole shape then, I'm going to take my first answer, 157.1, so the area of my half circle, plus the area of my trapezoid. All right, if you add those together, you're going to get a total of 521.1 millimeters squared. All right, so here's a picture that had a half a circle over a trapezoid. I find the area of the half circle first, then the area of the half trapezoid, and then I add them together. All right, let's look at another shape. This time there's no line drawn into it. Sometimes when we have multiple shapes together, we'll have to draw our own line into the picture. We can draw our line in different spots, but we want to try to separate it into pictures that we can find. For example, if I draw a line right here, I notice that on the left side is a rectangle, this shape right here, and I notice on the right side is a triangle. So what I can do is area of the rectangle plus area of the triangle. Okay, I'm going to do the area of the rectangle first. Area of a rectangle says base times height. Well, the base is 37.5 on the rectangle. The height is 22.5, so I'm going to multiply those together, And that's going to give me 843.8 for the rectangle. Now, we're going to have to do some work to come up with some missing pieces here. All right, you'll notice in our triangle, we need base times height. So I need those two parts of the purple line. Well, if you look at the bottom piece, we can find this purple line right here. If the whole thing is 75, and this top little piece was 37.5, I can take 75 minus 37.5, and that will tell me the bottom piece here, which turns out to be 37.5. Now, to give you a heads up, it is not always going to be half of it. So you've got to take that whole bottom minus the part that ran the same direction to subtract that. All right, now, here's the problem. We've got to go ahead and do Pythagorean theorem for this because I don't know the height. So I'm going to go up top and do the Pythagorean theorem. I'm going to call it x squared plus 37.5 squared equals 62.5 squared. If you subtract 37.5 squared over, and you plug that in, you get x squared equals 2,500. Square root it, you get x to equal 50. So this height is 50. Now, to find the area of the triangle then, I'm going to take base 37.5 times height 50, and I'm going to divide that by 2 because the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. That gives us 937.5. Now, to find our final answer then, we're going to go back and we're going to add up 843.8 plus 937.5. All right, if we take 843.8 plus 937.5, you should get 1,781.3 m squared. All right, so this time we had to draw our own line into the picture to separate it into a rectangle and a triangle. All right, let's go ahead and look at another example. That's one of the more complex ones. Now, you'll notice this shape is different than the last ones. So, here's how this works. If the shape has a shaded region and a non-shaded region, all right, it's like having something missing on it. So you'll notice our first two examples were all shaded. They're composite figures on top of each other. This figure has something missing in it. When we have a shaded part and a non-shaded part, what we want to take is big shape, big figure, and this time instead of plus, we're going to do minus the small shape. All right, so when you look at this picture, the big shape is a triangle. The little shape is a half circle. So we're going to find the area of the triangle first, then we're going to find the area of the half circle, and we're going to subtract triangle minus half circle. Area of a triangle says base times height, and they gave us both. They gave us the base, they gave us the height. Remember, a triangle is base times height divided by 2. All right, if you calculate base times height divided by 2, you get 234. So that's our first part. Our second part, I'm going to do half of a circle. Now remember, the radius of our circle is half of the 9, so I'm going to be using 4.5 for my radius. So I'm going to take pi times radius squared, so 4.5 squared. But that's a regular circle right there. I need half a circle, so I need to cut this in half. All right, if you do that, you get 31.8. Now, let's go back and subtract our answers. Big area of the whole figure minus missing piece of the figure is going to tell us that we get 202.2 feet squared. All right, so shaded figure and non-shaded part, we take big figure minus little figure. All right, let's do a couple more examples. Here I have big figure, part of it shaded and part of it not, so I'm going to do big figure minus little figure. The big figure is a circle. The second figure is a trapezoid. Now, remember for our circle, and this is a whole circle, so I won't have to divide anything. Remember, I want to use the radius. The radius is 10. So I'm going to be doing pi times 10 squared for my circle. If I do that, I get 314.2. So we got our first part. Now I'm going to take the area of the trapezoid, so I'm going to take height times B1 plus B2, all divided by 2, and I'm going to calculate what I get for this. That'll give you 128. Now, to find the whole entire area then, let's go ahead and take the big figure, 314.2, minus the piece that's missing, all right, so again, when it's shaded, we got to make sure we subtract big figure minus little figure. If you do that, you should get 186.2 centimeters squared. All right, here we go. Ooh, example 5. Now, this is all shaded, so this is shapes added together. If you look at this picture, we've got a square here, and then I have 2 half circles. All right, so technically I can take 2 half circles and put them together and it would make one whole circle. So this picture technically has a square and a circle and it's all shaded, so I'm going to be adding these together. All right, notice the 3 is on all the sides, so to find the area of the square, it's going to be 3 squared, which tells us 9. Remember, if each side was 3, we need the radius, and half of 3 would be 1.5. And remember, if I put both of those together, it's the area of a whole circle. So I'm going to do pi times radius squared. All right, if you do that, it gives you 7.1. Now, both parts are shaded, so I'm going to add my answers together. So 9 plus 7.1 tells me 16.1 inches squared. All right, so there's your first part. Now we're going to go ahead and get into one more example, and then we'll get into some practice. Example 6 just has 3 shapes. All right, so when you look through this, I see 3 shapes in this picture. They're all clear, so it's going to be an addition problem. I see a rectangle, and I'm actually going to redo that and scoot it down so that I have room to find my rectangle. I see a rectangle, I see a trapezoid, and I see another rectangle. So these are the 3 shapes that I'm going to work with. My first rectangle has a base of 28.5 times the height, 7.5, and I'm going to calculate that first, which will give me 213.8. So I got my first area, 213.8. My second area, the trapezoid, I'm going to take height 6 times B1, base 1, 12 plus 18. And again, if you flip those, it doesn't matter. And then that's divided by 2. That's going to give me 90 for my second answer, so I get 90 for the trap. All right, I'm going to do my last one. I'll do that one in green. Oops. Well, let's go ahead and find the area of the rectangle. It's got a base of 6 and a height, or a base of 12 and a height of 6. So base times height, 6 times 12 will tell us 72. Now go back, if that one was 72, I'm going to go back and I'm going to add up all those areas together to find the whole thing. So let me scroll down for a second. Here we go. First area was 213.8, plus second area was 90, plus third area was 72. If I add those together, I get 375.8 feet squared. So composite figures, find the area of each individual shape and then add them together. All right, if it's got a shaded part and a non-shaded part, make sure you find the area of the big figure minus the small figure. We're going to go ahead and get into a couple practice problems right now and see what you can do.